What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Young Guns Podcast. We got a trade today. It's the first time I do an intro on this show.
I
So,
know it's crazy.
and
Kind of
favor this moment. So Frank Vatrano got traded for a fourth round pick, uh,
conditional fourth round pick.
additional fourth round pick to the New York Rangers. So let's break down.
Well, basically, I mean, you look at the Rangers, and we're gonna first and foremost talk about the Rangers. I mean, look, we've seen we know that the Rangers were pretty much in on everybody going into this trade deadline. Like I think every single player that was rumored was projected to maybe go to the Rangers. And so the Rangers kind of did a surprise move here. I didn't really think they were going to go for a guy like Frank Vatrano, considering, the names that they were linked to and whatever. But, they're bringing in a guy who, hasn't really been great this season. He hasn't been that bad. He's got 19 points in 49 games, but, he's missed a lot of time with Florida. And I know he's had a couple of games where he's been injured too. Or a healthy scratch and whatnot. So I think Vatrano adding some depth piece to the Rangers, that could definitely help them a lot. And obviously, you look at what how good Florida's been. They don't really necessarily need him. And obviously, if you go and look, the Panthers seem to be making a cap dump. Vatrano has 19 points in 49 games, and obviously he's going to be a UFA at the end of the year. So this is a potential cap dump to potentially bring in another piece. There's rumors that apparently they've been linked with Claude Giroux. There's also been rumors that they've been linked with likes of Ben Sherratt. And, we'll see how that goes with Florida, but definitely a cap dump move here for them. And I think the Rangers, they got themselves a good third, fourth line guy that they can definitely use on their team. And he's a guy that, can definitely be depth for them moving forward. So it's not a bad move for either team, I think, in that perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of when I saw the alert, I was like Rangers trade. I was like, oh, I'm like, what did they get? And I was kind of like, oh, okay, not what I expected. But
Disappointing.
well, listen, the Rangers still have their first round pick. They got 2 seconds. I don't know what the condition is on the fourth rounder.
I'll tell you, actually, the condition on the fourth round pick is that at the time of the trade, the Rangers have their own first round pick and Winnipeg's fourth round pick. The pick transferred will be the lower of the two. So essentially, the lowest ranking out of the two fourth round picks that the Rangers have will go to Florida.
Okay, so and they still have 25 million in cap space,
Yeah.
which is insane. So I don't know. You're saying Claude Giroux might go to Florida. Could he maybe go to New York? Yeah,
I
I don't
don't I
know.
don't know, man, but
Because I know Florida wants, not Florida. Flyers want a first round pick for Claude Giroux. Like it's a must.
yeah.
Florida doesn't have that.
Well, they have next year's.
They
Don't
do
they?
have next year's, yes, and I think Chris mentioned in the last trade video yesterday that it's a commodity now to have trade pieces, draft picks for next season because it's so loaded with Connor Bedard and Mitchkov and etc.
That's it.
So I'm excited to see what it is. I know the Rangers could make, they're going to be the ones making the biggest splash this trade deadline. So I'm curious to
Um,
see. I'm pretty sure this is just a start. They're trying to fix
well,
up their depth, and then they're gonna go with the bigger trades later.
Well, that's
This
it, and I think too, like you look at Florida, and I think that even for Florida, like we know that this is not their only move that they're going to make. They're clearly making room for something, and I think if you're Florida, I mean, look, as the time of this recording, there hasn't been anything confirmed, but Darren Dreger just pretty much said the Ben Sherratt trade talks were heating up, and actually, what's interesting about that, and it's kind of relevant, it's relevant to this trade, is that Florida is one of the teams in the mix currently with the talks heating up. So maybe if Florida makes that move for Vatrano because they're trying to go and get a bigger fish like Ben Sherratt, there's also potential opportunity to go get a guy like Claude Giroux. But who knows? Maybe Florida does something outside the box and they go for a guy like Jacob Chikrin as well. There's clearly a meaning behind making this deal because, again, it's two playoff teams dealing with each other, like we saw yesterday with Minnesota and Colorado dealing two players for each other. It's kind of the same thing here, except the pick goes back the other way. But, it's two playoff teams that are comfortably there, comfortably like in a playoff spot, making a deal. So clearly there's more to this than what we're seeing, and we just have to wait and see what that is, right? So there's definitely an opportunity there for the Rangers. But I like this move for the Rangers. I really, really do. Vatrano's a guy that, can play on the third, can play on the fourth line, but he's a guy that maybe you can throw in on the power play. He's got 10 goals this year. He's a guy that can put the puck in the net if you need him to, And I think for the Rangers, they've lacked a lot of depth scoring this season at times. They've relied on Panarin, they've relied on guys like Zibanejad. Lafreniere lately has been playing a little bit better in terms of goal scoring and stuff. But I think they need that depth guy. And I think a guy like uh, Vatrano kind of saves the Rangers from going out and getting a guy like Lehkonen, right? So they have that. They've already got their 2.3 million until the end of the year, and they've got a guy that can do it. And I think it's a really good move for the Rangers. And it's a guy that Jordan Galan knows as well because he coached him when he was in Florida as well, I believe. So it's someone he's definitely familiar with. So it's good to see.
Um, I want to move on to a question that I want to ask you. What
Yeah.
do you what move do you think the Florida, besides Claude Giroux, what move do you think the Florida Panthers, if they fail to get him, could potentially make? Do you see them,
On
like, which
on
player do you see them giving up to get another piece
on forward or just in general?
in general?
I'll be honest. I think they go for a guy like Ben Sherratt, and the reason I think that is or a guy like Ben Sherratt or Jacob Chikrin, and the
Well,
reason why I think
who do you think they would
I mean,
swap?
in terms of Florida's picks, they've got a few prospects, and I know that Kent Hughes in Montreal, at least from Montreal side, they want a first round pick and a prospect. Now, Florida doesn't have their 2022 pick, but they do have their 2023 pick. And there's been rumors too that Montreal has sent scouts to go and watch Charlotte Checkers games this season. And who plays on the Charlotte Checkers? Owen Tippett. And maybe the rumor would be, and I think what the deal could be, is that maybe Montreal takes Florida's 2023 pick and Owen Tippett in exchange for a guy like Ben Sherratt. That's what the type of deal that I think could happen. I've seen other people say different trades. To be honest, I don't think Florida moves on from guys like Anton Lindell or Spencer Knight. So I think those guys are out of the question. Another guy that I really like that maybe could be included if they don't decide to go with Owen Tippett could be a guy like Grigory Denisenko as well. Another decent prospect for Florida that they have in their system. So those would be the two moves that I would look at if you're Florida in terms of what to get. If you're talking about Jacob Chikrin, a little bit different because now you've got a situation where it's a little bit of a bigger asking price. And I don't know if Florida have necessarily the pieces unless they're willing to move a guy like Lindell to get it done. So I think for Florida, if they're trying to find something low end, low key, someone that can help their team physically as well, I think they go with Sherratt, or maybe they try to see if they can go after Mark Giordano. But I think Florida is going to prioritize defense.
All right, so before I end this video, I mean, the title says who won this deal, so let's have it. Who do you think won this deal?
I mean, to be honest, there's really only one team that could win this deal because there's only one team that got the player. So that's the Rangers. But Florida can win this deal if they use the money that they got rid of from Vatrano to go and get someone prolific. What I'm saying is, essentially, what I'm saying is if Florida decides, hey, we're gonna go get Sherratt, and they actually make that move happen, well, then they're gonna win that deal. But it all depends on how Florida wants to go about it. But I think the Rangers right now, hands down, they win because they get a player that improves their roster, and he's a decent player. He's not a bad player by any means. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Rangers for now on this one. I mean, they gave up a fourth round pick that they had as an extra, so I mean they didn't really like lose much.
They
And
lost basically nothing.
yeah, and you're getting a depth forward that it's gonna help you go deep in the playoffs. Uh, and for the Florida Panthers, I mean, only time will tell to see like who truly won this deal. So if they get to sign Giroux or like a big name player, Ben Sherratt, I think it's gonna be I say it's a win-win. Honestly, I think
And
both teams won this trade.
And actually, a fun fact just before we mentioned it, because this just came out now, Friedman on Hockey Central just said, I do think that the Florida Panthers are interested in Claude Giroux. They may actually be the front runner. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on in terms of Claude Giroux. So we talked about Ben Sherratt, but maybe Florida does make the bigger move and they go for Giroux. Friedman is saying it on Hockey Central that they may be the front runner. That would be crazy if they get Claude Giroux. Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be nuts. I mean, it's going to be an interesting trade deadline coming up.
Absolutely. I'm
So
excited.
that's going to be the end of this episode. I'd like to say thank you for everybody for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. We're almost at 600. We're on the righteous path to 1,000, as Chris says in the other episodes. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.